All right, here we are in 12.22, and we have a gigantic one here today. So, for those people watching this, you should pause now and get some snacks because we have a lot of shit to go through. And joining me today is returning from last time is again Nate.
Greetings, everyone. New season. Hopefully, people are excited.
And triumphantly returning from the past here is Jason.
Hey guys, it's I was sad to miss last week, but happy to be back to run down this brave new world. So many changes on 1222.
All right, let's get right into it. There's a lot of new mechanics, but not a lot of champion balance things. A lot of just new mechanics and item stuff that I can't wait to go over. There's some truly juicy things in here. Some things I'm a little worried about. For most of it, I think I was relatively pleased upon, as a lot of this stuff is kind of a reversion back to the old stuff. So, I don't know what all you guys wanted to go. Did any of you guys have something you wanted to talk to before the balance changes start? Like with this, the champ select things and the jungle path stuff all at the very top.
I don't have anything specifically. We might, jump back to it as it comes up along the way. But
Well,
nothing was.
how do you feel about not being able to see people's names in the lobby anymore?
um, so far, it hasn't affected me. Luckily enough, people play that you probably won't queue with the same people more than once unless you're doing ranked and you're at like a break point. Then maybe.
I'm not actually. Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I'm sorry. You say what you're gonna say.
Occasionally, I do see some people end up in my queue, especially when I'm doing flex. But same with solo duo sometimes. People show up game after game, and sometimes like you're new to that team. And you, before you even start, you hear people just bitching about landing with the other players. Like, oh my god, he was trolling. He's such an enter. So I think in some way it's good that that's gone. Although it's really sad that it came to that. Obviously, the other reason they did it was to prevent stream sniping.
Oh, that didn't really occur to me. But yeah, I actually don't like this because it kind of just put like on another edge towards like unaccountability. Or if you have like a name, then that's like something that sticks with your rep, your street cred.
Yeah.
And I feel like this
Um,
just makes kind of dehumanizes the game even further.
there's also that level of is it OpenGG or any of those sites where you can look up other players that they could probably see your like most played champs might affect some bans or something. I don't know. That maybe makes it a little more fair.
I don't think you could ever see the enemies' names.
Sure, sure. I guess, but sometimes you get the lobby and then it cancels out and you get the lobby again. You're like with the other team. I don't know if it ever happens to you.
That's
You're like,
true.
oh,
That's true.
these
Yeah.
these aren't the people I was with a second ago. Like, I feel like that dude was picking Tarek. I'm gonna let him.
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna let him. I like that.
that's some next level try hard shit.
I often ban somebody, that was like playing a threatening champ who was on my team and then gets probably sent to the other team in a Riku.
Okie dokie. Let's scroll down to the pings. Let's talk about the pings.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
No, let's talk about the objective voting first, because that's right above pings. Now,
Oh.
I haven't actually seen this in game yet. Nate, you said, does this happen to you already?
Yes, with the vote tooltip, I guess you
Yeah,
call it.
this seemed completely goofy to me.
Yeah. So, yeah, on the bottom right side, a thing comes up. It's like dragon, and you like vote yay or nay, and little swords or X's come up. And then I don't know if that vote affects what your jungler's doing because plenty of junglers can kill the dragon or the rift by themselves. But like and it's like, oh, so many votes are aligned. And it's like, I don't think that matters. Um, but I guess it's harder to ignore because when you just, question mark the dragon and assist me with the dragon or the Rift Herald, and then no one comes, and then they pretend they didn't see it. Well, at least if you have a thing coming up over your map, maybe they'll be a little more inclined to help or be like, no, I'm not coming. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this seems kind of unnecessary, right? There's still going to be people ignoring it. There's going to be people who vote yes, but don't intend to come for another minute, minute and a half. I don't see this helping with communication much. I don't see it hurting anything either. Like, they want to do it, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one of the endless like half measures they put into the game where they have like some like lofty intention, but it's like so lazily delivered that it's not going to really change anything.
I think the group of like 8 pings for it's 8 now, right? For like different things you can command people to do essentially. Things like bait. Those are kind of nice.
Well, let's move on to the pings. So the new ones are what do we got? We got push, all in, hold, and bait. Do you guys feel like all four of those new ones are relevant?
I'm gonna go with relevant things to want to communicate, but I don't know if the pings are going to get it done. I think when you want to organize some of those things, that the ping system's probably still too slow. That if you're not in some sort of Discord or voice chat of some kind, that you're not going to pull out that stuff just because the flash reactions of some things are so quick. So maybe the bait, the other ones, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe.
gonna agree with that. Bait is definitely the best one of the four. All in, like, do you need to tell someone that with a ping? Um, Generally you engage, right? Or you just like
Or
ping
it's too late.
the target that you want to hit. It's kind of weird. Push and hold, those might be useful for the ADC support duo, and that's about it. I would really like just a go here ping. Like, please go here. Join me in a bush. Get around the river, something like that. Just please go here.
That's basically assist me.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, but a lot of
sometimes they're
people use
like,
assist me and mean like I'm in trouble. I need something right now. Heal me, shield me, use your ult to help me, get me out.
My take is that I think the four OG ones are hugely relevant, but I think in like one way, shape, or form, all four of the new ones are basically assist me. So I feel like assist me is just going to be
yep.
used.
Their hold is also like the yellow ping, the classic, like whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa, like
yeah. But if you
someone's in the
just
bush, don't do it, don't do it.
if you just drag assist me like on the tower, it's
Yeah,
basically the same as like hold.
right.
And if your
Um,
jungler's waiting for you, he's just going to be like, "Well, help me."
I was hoping when they announced like they're like, oh, we're gonna have the bait ping and a whole bunch of new ones, and I didn't really dig too deep into what they're gonna be. I was hoping
Uh,
there would be, hey, top laner split push would be like a ping where I don't have to type it out. I'm like, hey guy, like you bought the was it Hull Breacher, like the split push item, like do your job, go do your job. Like, nope.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for maybe they should just allow you to put macros on your ping wheel for things like that. I know some people would use them to draw cock and balls and whatever, but
Yeah, of course.
but like that would really be the best way
Or
to what?
yeah, like there's like three or four things that I type almost every game. One of them like stay near Baron for a contest, or like get vision on Dragon for like the support of the jungler. Like, these kinds of things are like, man, where's that ping that I know I'm not the only one who's saying that every game.
Yeah. Or I'm the squishy support trying to ward it a minute and a half before, and then a minute before, and the other team is just streaming in, and
Yeah.
my team is just diddling in the jungle. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I have to
Chrono
leave now and
creeps.
give up all the vision. I want the pissed escort me, the ping for escort me.
Hmm.
Be my sword and shield. I'll be your vision. No one ever comes.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
yeah.
Next up, unless you guys want to talk about any of those things under that, we're gonna skip down to the champion balance changes, of which there are very few of consequence. Not really, unless you guys spotted an abnormal like figure in one of these that I missed. I don't
Uh,
plan on really going over those. The two things I did want to point out is they made Lilia and Rakan melee now instead of ranged. And when Lilia first came out, I think I was telling my friend Johnny that she always should have been melee so she could get the full benefit from grasp, because it just kind of, I think it should roll with her. That's the
uh-huh.
biggest thing I see from these balance changes.
Yeah. Sorry, Nick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I find that kind of an odd, like both of them had, super short range kind of anyway, so like it wasn't this like giant earth-shattering
Hmm.
shift. So yeah, that definitely adds up well. I saw that there were like a dozen bug fixes for Cassante, because we talked about how he was going to be super duper, and then the few times I saw him in game, he was disappointing. So maybe there were some bugs involved. I don't know. But yeah, some of these changes are like hundredths column, like 0.03. It's like I don't know if they'll ever, really add up in the game. Like maybe they know more than I do about these stats, but
That was all
whatever.
just about coming to round numbers. Just so the mana, for example, might have like a
Pick
smoother
weird.
progression rather than like level 2 it's 116, level 3 it's 116, level 4 it's 117. I
Sure.
think they just wanted to go to round numbers, which has been very against what they've been doing recently.
Right.
So good for them for finally, doing something good on that front with round numbers and simplicity.
While we're talking
Uh,
about ranged and melee champions, I think they should
Mhm.
also make Urgot classified as a melee champion.
Yeah,
Hmm.
probably. I mean, he's very good
His
already, but
autos. His autos, yeah,
Well, then he would get the full benefit from the
of all his items.
melee form of all of the enhanced effect on items, and
Yeah.
like grasp and like a number of other things like Sterix and a lot of things that I think he should be classified as a melee champion over.
yeah.
Conqueror.
In Lilia's case, they did take down a few of her numbers a little bit, but one thing that's really worth pointing out when you switch to from range to melee, not only do you get better effects on certain runes and items, things like grasp, like you mentioned, conquer.
Mm.
But it also means that you now get scaling magic resist per level. And that is not insignificant for a champ like Lilia or a champ like Rakan.
Uh,
I think you might get more
all of
too.
them do have that are melee, but I don't think these two in particular didn't have that already, or they
Oh,
didn't add it in this patch if they didn't.
you think they were given magic resist per level already, like in the past, as
Uh,
ranged champions?
I don't know if they do or not, but all I know
Okay.
is they didn't just give it to them in this patch when they became melee.
Thought they did because my understanding was that no ranged champs in the game automatically get magic resist per level. I could be wrong though.
No, there's some exceptions, but
Okay.
I think in the durability update, everyone got a little bit per level now. Melees just have more.
Yeah. So I think Lilia being able to use some of these melee runes and items, um, and she has a very easy time getting in range to use them and getting her autos off along with her spells. Like I think this will be very good for her. One other balance change I did want to point out was Cho'Gath. They increased the feast for minions and monsters
Oh,
by
that's right.
200.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is, I mean, Cho'Gath got some other really nice stuff from items on this patch.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
So being able to contest objectives even better. Like better than almost any champ in the game now. That's pretty cool.
Nunu's consume also scales up to 1200 now too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
that
it's
got
usually
bigger
going to have smite
significantly.
as well, so this is nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other champ balance changes you guys want to mention?
No.
That
Let's
about
see.
do it. Okay. Let's scroll all the way down. We got a lot of shit. Okay. Now we're on to the fun stuff, the items. Now, I think the biggest thing is the fact that they got rid of all three of the current tank mythics, nerfed them into the ground, made them legendary, so it's kind of okay. And then they came up with three new tank mythics. And I'm a little hit or miss on some of them. One of them I absolutely love. The other two I think are kind of a little bizarre and don't feel like very fitting, but we'll go over them on a case by case basis. The first thing we'll just do it in order. First thing we're gonna go over is these new jungle items, and I'm not even sure where to start with this. This is just absolutely crazy. The smite's been completely reworked. Everyone in the jungles now gets like a little tiny minion that runs around with them. I'm not even sure if they can attack champs or not, or they're only allowed to attack monsters. I mean, it's just, and oh yeah, and then there's three different kind of jungling pets too. They each give you like a bonus in the jungle and outs in combat basically too. It's just a lot of stuff. What's your take on Super Smite and giving everyone pets now, Nate?
It was funny the first game, like 'cause I hadn't seen this change, and I played the first game, and I was like, man, that dude's got a pet. Like, I bet he paid money for that. Like World of Warcraft or something.
That figures.
But then it turns out it was actually the jungling update, and I was like, that's got to be like April Fool's, or like, there's no way that's really how jungling works now. So mostly disbelief is how I reacted to it.
I agree.
Changing Smite, like, cool, whatever. The jungle will be balanced eventually. Like, nothing will be as hard as the old days where you take a shirt and 5 potions and still die on the second camp.
Mhm.
I think it'll all be balanced. I guess the pets were just for like cuteness sake? Question mark? I don't know, Jason. What do you think?
I think they're definitely for cuteness sake, but also I think part of the point of this entire rework of the jungle, I'm gonna call it, is to make jungling easier, more accessible, both to a wider champion pool and to less skilled players,
That's
because
exactly what I was going to say.
not that many people play jungle, and it sucks to have an inexperienced jungler in your game. It sucks for your jungler. It sucks for the laners who are blaming their jungler. It sucks for everyone. What this does is it essentially takes part of the jungling skill, at least for clearing camps, out of the player's hands. There's less manipulating camps. There's less knowing exactly who you need to attack and when. And it puts a lot of the power back into just the simple pet that you buy at the beginning of the game for 450.
Sure.
This will basically smooth the difficulty curve in the jungle, and the only way you're really going to have a hard time with the jungle, I would think now, is if a better jungler decides to invade you, essentially.
Yeah, I had the exact same thoughts as you, man. It feels like they really just it was already dumbed down the way it existed, I feel like, but now I feel like opened it up to an almost unhealthy pool of champions that could get by jungling now. And now I feel like it's getting to a bad place because now I feel like things like Jungle Twitch aren't going to be like an anomaly and stuff like that if he has a melee minion to tank for him and stuff. And that's like nobody wants to play against some of this goofy stuff. And I feel like it's just the beginning of the goofiness. And I feel like there's a certain healthiness of the game when a certain type of champion is jungling, regardless of how good that player is.
Yeah.
I don't.
Do you think go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I say, do you wonder that the fact that they put it into a pet was to like incentivize people to want to jungle? Because I think it's the like probably least picked role in when you're signing up. That's like, ooh, you get a pet if you jungle. There's some like they had incentivized it with like you get cooler graphics than other people.
I think that's a really good point. I think they definitely were thinking of that. And I also think they were just thinking of trying to make an enjoyable experience for people who like that type of thing. There's no reason not to make it cool. You could just make it an orb that fires off every 15 seconds or whatever. But if you have a pet that's doing it, I don't know, that feels good, right? I feel like everyone wants that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I listen to any argument that tries to point out that they just tried to add this to the game to attract like younger or dumber people. I feel like any game that gets to a certain age inevitably starts to try to cater to a younger audience that's far away from its like original target audience that made the game successful.
See whether Dwarf Fortress does
And
that.
I'm not just talking about
Dwarf
WoW
Fortress.
either.
Well, once League of Legends can be played via mobile, then you'll know that it's over.
I feel like those people would be at a big disadvantage.
Well, that's once they've balanced it so those people are on the same level as you. That's when you'll know it's time to move on.
Yeah.
When League of Legends iOS is
he's got a point there. When they can leverage just as much power from the state of the game as you can with like a mouse and keyboard, yeah, it's time to call League quits.
Yeah, it's a good run.
Yeah.
Good run.
So there is one thing with the 3 different pets there that I did kind of want to point out and also get your opinions on.
Yeah, I'm down there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I thought you were saying you were about to get it. So there's the Gustwalker hatchling, there's the Moss Stomper seedling, and there's the Scorchclaw pup. And as far as I understand, they all act the same until you level up to 40 treats. Is that right?
I don't have the figures memorized, but yeah, they scale over time as you take down more big monsters.
Right. I
I believe that is
believe you
correct.
only. I believe they are like functionally the same until you get to that point.
Yes.
Once you get to that point, you get the unique bonus. So the blue one, the hatchling, is 45% bonus movement speed in a brush and immediately after you leave. The green one is a shield for a few hundred hit points at max level. Every time you go 10 seconds without combat or kill a large monster. And then the red one is basically like a super red buff that triggers in an AoE, but you can't repeatedly apply it. It's basically once per combat. I think that the red and the green are both going to have a lot of utility, and I think the blue is going to be very, very niche, bordering on useless.
Mm.
No, I disagree with. I think all three of them will have a place. Think of champs like
Mhm.
Rengar or Kha'Zix that
Mhm.
constantly are going to be moving between brush. This essentially is just going to speed up your clear after you get this ability. Every time you go into brush, you just speed up towards another brush and
Well, you
so
only
on
get
and
this
so
effect
forth.
pretty late in the game. You need 40 traits.
I mean, movement speed is in itself like power in this game.
Yeah, it's
You
nice.
know, and as yeah, I think the red one is definitely. I don't know. I see people taking all of them honestly.
I would say the red one looks the best to me. The green one definitely good for any champ that is going to be going in and engaging as a tank.
Uh,
And the blue one, yeah, I could see like Kha'Zix and Rengar. I could see champs that really want to chase you through a river or through a lane. But I feel like just the fact that this is hitting later in the game rather than earlier, and the fact that it has almost no team fight utility, makes it the worst one by a margin, personally. And I
uh,
think we're gonna have to see it get buffed, and then eventually get reworked.
the blue one definitely has team fight potential, as it doesn't say anything about having to be out of combat. And there's plenty of fights that take place around bushes where a gigantic movement speed bonus like that is definitely going to come into play.
Sometimes, yeah, if you're like in the river near an objective,
Yeah, keep in mind
it,
Ghost is 21%. This is double and triple that.
yeah,
So,
while you're in the bush, and then immediately after leaving it.
If you're Xin Zhao and you just need to run through a bush to get that dash
Ah,
off.
ah. Come on, he can
Yeah,
already like engage at 2100 range.
yeah. But to get to the fight, maybe you're behind. But which one will
That-
Yi take? That's all that matters.
Oh, well, I
yeah,
feel like all the crappies are definitely taking red.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Um,
that's the cool one. That's like, the
yeah.
Raphael of pets.
The Raphael.
Yeah. If you're cool, you like Raphael. Like, oh,
Jungle
okay.
Buffs.
Yeah. Same thing, Wolverine.
What
If
would
you're
a
an
good
X-Men fan.
master you take though?
since he already has a shitload of kill potential, I feel like you just take the one with survivability.
Yeah, because he has the speed ups too. He has
Yep.
speed ups and tenacity or whatever you call slow immunity, whatever.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree on that as well. Like 300 shield would be pretty nice for him.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing. Obviously, the red one's going to be taking the most.
The
I definitely
try-hardiest.
think
And
so.
like,
Yeah.
people that love jungle are the try-hardiest. So
All
it,
right. Let's move on to the absolutely juiciest part of this patch, the items. And we got
Yeah,
some fun, exciting stuff in here. First off, let's start with Abyssal Mask, and this is a complete reversion of its form. About a year and a half ago, it functioned this way when they changed the way Catalyst works. They got rid of Rod of the Ages, which is making another triumphant return. I'm very
why?
pleased. And yeah, this is just a complete reversion of the state that this item was in a long time ago. And I'm really happy to see it because I liked that it gave mana. The way the game exists right now, there was like literally one mana item you can get if your mana item is also your mythic. So you have like
mm,
no access to like additional mana items that aren't your mythic basically, unless you get Frozen Heart, and that's just awkward a lot of the time. So I like this.
Chris, can we take one step back and just talk about Catalyst coming back to save us before even getting to Abyssal Mask?
Yeah, yeah.
The original Catalyst was on Level Up, which was like one of the most obscure, and then they changed it to the was it on Damage or using abilities? Yeah.
Yeah. It's health to mana and mana to health. When you lose one, you gain the other. It's like a Mobius loop.
Right. And so it's back, but it's like, because it was a cool like laning item. It's like, oh, you can out-sustain and farm, which was like the core of League of Legends for so long. And they're like, no, you must kill people. Let's get rid of all these items that just give you sustainability.
I'm definitely down to it.
I love that Catalyst of Aeons is back. Like, this is the sustain item for mages.
Mm-hmm.
And for others too, but it's often mages' only way to do it, and I love it.
Okay,
anyway.
Next up, we're gonna skip over Aegis, Amptome, and Bambi because they basically do the same thing. They just build into new stuff. Same with like BF Sword and Blasting One. We talked about Catalyst. It's weaker when it's by itself. It gets a little stronger when it builds into Abyssal Mask and Rod and whatever the hell else it builds into now. But I look forward to getting it.
And Rod doesn't have you have to wait 10 minutes for it to come to full power?
No, it does.
No, it does.
Oh, it does? Okay. There's so much. I was trying to read it. Ugh.
We'll get to that.
Every minute. Oh, there we go. Up to 10 times. There it is. Oh, at the beginning. Okay. It is back.
Okay. What do we got? A lot of this is just kind of the shorter stuff that says it builds into it. The first one I'll say is that they straight up removed Frostfire Gauntlet instead of making that a mythic. But since they turned it back into the old Iceborne Gauntlet, that is pretty cool, though. We'll get into that when it gets down. I'm scrolling all the way down. Okay. The first one of new consequence down here is Heartsteel, and this is the one that I've been gushing over since I saw this on, like, the PBE. It is just absolutely redonkulous. This is basically Grasp of the Undying in item form, except, like, say goodbye to Grasp and say goodbye to Overgrowth, because this thing is absolutely bananas. You just, whenever you're close to someone, it charges up a special attack that's pretty fast, and then you just auto-attack them, and it does a huge chunk of damage, and you get permanent health. And basically, as soon as you buy this, your first time you use it, you're already getting like 20, 25 permanent health, and you can easily get it up to like 50 or 60 permanent health per use of this, like later on in the game. And it can get absolutely like ludicrous. I've already used this several times. It is so much fun.
I'm guessing that's in a Shen top lane scenario.
The possibilities are endless. Anyone with like a really strong max health or bonus health ratio, like Shen, Set, Cho'Gath, there's just a ton of them in the game. Yeah. Sion, Maokai. I mean, this thing is just absolutely bonkers. Of course, it has identical stats to Warmogs and doesn't have any armor or MR, which is its big trade-off. But this thing is just so silly. I'm in love with it. I hope they don't touch it too much because it is a late game investment for sure. But you need to get it early if you want to start being bonkers, because it basically grows its own effect on itself, which is it's just so cool. What do you think of that shit, Nate?
I think it's awesome. I love like tanky champs, and I like tanky payoff items that just make you like bigger, and literally it makes you bigger with the increased size, like the Gauntlet did. And also more health, and playing Cho'Gath and Sion top or jungle has always pleased me. And by the end of the game, having a zillion health and not doing a lot of damage, like, I don't know, and then your team wonders what's going on. Like, I thought you guys were building damage items. Yeah, it's pretty rewarding for me, at least. Jason?
Yeah, Nasus is another one that could probably use it really well.
He's a little too Sheen dependent to pick this up.
Yeah, you don't think you'd get away with just the Sheen and not upgrading it?
I believe. Well, no, Essence Reaver isn't a lay. Yeah, I guess you could just sit on. You wouldn't want to just sit on Sheen. Yeah, Divine Sunder is too core for him right now.
Really good. That's true.
He would get a big bonk on his Q for this when he gets close to you, but
oh yeah,
I'm afraid Sheen is just too good on him too quickly. I don't see him abandoning Trinity Force or Divine Sunder for this.
Yeah.
Didn't use Sheen into Iceborne Gauntlet as a non-mythic though?
You can build that too.
I mean, like, so an option.
The only thing Sheen builds into that's not a mythic is Essence Reaver. Yeah. So
Yeah, this item at any rate is bonkers.
oh boy.
800 health plus the fact that you can get, hundreds of health if you use it properly in a team fight, in a single fight. That's going to be a rare scenario, but even, stacking 50, 60, every minute or two, this is going to give you a couple thousand health by the end of the game just from one item, in addition to the ability haste. It's bonkers.
I haven't had that crazy of a game yet, but I have gotten this up to 1,000 extra bonus health or max health or whatever. It is pretty hilarious.
Enough fights, it might get a lot higher than that. Like I'm talking about like 2,000 total for the item, right? So 800 from the stat line, and then another 1,000 plus from the passive over the course of the game.
Yeah. One thing is like this is you can do this on all 5 people, and it's like a 30-second cooldown per person. But in the laning phase, I think rushing this is completely legit, because this thing actually does a nice little chunk of damage for like short trades. I swear, this is like Hearts or Grasp of the Undying on steroids. This thing is so awesome.
Yeah.
I've been getting this every single game since I saw it on the PvE. It is so amazing.
Yeah, you'd almost be a fool to not rush this unless you're in like a matchup against a mage or an ADC top lane or something like that, who's going to be very hard to stay within their range for 3 seconds.
Oh yeah, you would definitely only want to get this on someone that you can
do a lot of melee fights.
Auto attack with, yeah.
Yeah, get some melee work done.
For sure.
But I'd like to...
You'd be a fool not to take this first, because it's going to be the item that's stacking the whole time.
I'd like to point out that for the moment, there isn't a reduced effect on this for ranged champions, and I do expect them at some point to put that on this item, because there are going to be some ranged champions who are going to do some silly shit with this.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chrissy.
And effects like this, they always make weaker for ranged champions. So that I don't think they're going to nerf the melee portion or the stats, because this is a big late game investment thing. I do think they're going to make it a little weaker for ranged champions, maybe on the whole of like 60 to 75% of the current effect.
Can you imagine this plus gargoyles on Cho'Gath? Like that shield?
Gargoyles will never be as crazy as it used to be, because gargoyles used to just give you max health based on like your max health.
Now
it's just, yeah. Now it just,
of your health.
No, I forget. It's based on your bonus health now, not your max health. So gargoyles can only be good like in the late game now.
Whereas this is all bonus health.
Before it was, when it was bonkers, it scaled at any point in the game because it was based on like your total health or something like that. Okay. One like note of warning or whatever I did notice when I saw these 3 new tank items, there is no longer a tank mythic that has a cooldown reduction synergy with legendary items. They got rid of that, so there's no longer a huge like cooldown reduction build there is with the old Chem Tank, which was the old mythic that gave the 5 CDR synergy with the mythics or legendary items. So that has been phased out of the game, and I'm a little worried about that, because that is kind of a thing that people like building towards. You got your ultimate tank item, and that was the old Ice or Frostfire Gauntlet or whatever, and then you have the big CDR one, and then your big dueling one. I feel like they threw away all 3 of those ideas and just kind of came up with a bunch of stuff with cool like utility.
Yeah, I mean, you can still get ability haste from other items, and these bring 20 by themselves, so the fact that it doesn't scale isn't the end of the world, but I know what you mean.
Okay, let's get away from that crazy shit.
Next up, speaking of crazy shit, did you see what happened to people who built this on the PvE?
No, I guess not.
Anyone who bought Heartsteel on the PvE was getting permabanned. The Riot client actually thought they were using a third-party cheat.
Oh, I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, that had happened for a few days, and I think everyone was restored. But oh man, everyone was getting banned left and right for buying this damn item.
Well, it is that strong.
Very ominous. Very ominous birth of the item.
It's a first-party cheat, if you want to think of it that way.
Okay, next up we have the reintroduction of Iceborne Gauntlet, and I'm actually really happy that this came back because it is essentially Frostfire Gauntlet still, but unlike the old Iceborne Gauntlet, this actually has health now, so this is more of a brawler item. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Ezreal's like actually repick this up now. The old blue build, I think it'll probably make a comeback
Yep.
now that this is a thing again with health now, whereas before it just had a ton of mana. This no longer has mana like it used to in the old days. And yeah, it's still got the old Spellblade effect with a really cool added bonus where it actually gives you a mini exhaust on the target where their total damage output's reduced by 10%. That's
Mm.
pretty cool. I think that
Yep.
would be cool on brawlers, on 80 carries. I only see Ezreal really getting it, but I still think it's really cool. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I like the revert too, because I used to love the Frostfire Gauntlet, or the Iceborne, and then when Frostfire placed it, I was like, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm excited that it came back and that it's um, yeah, more accessible to so many more champs now too. Like you said, like Ezreal or other, maybe some junglers want to, zip out and hit somebody with it. Whereas it used to be, you'd only build the Frostfire if you were like, absolute tank, top lane, like huge commitment. So yeah, I like a little variety. Jason.
It's a little bit of a shame that the radius doesn't scale based on your health or some other stat. But besides that, I do like this item. I thought that Frostfire Gauntlet was kind of a failure and that they were trying to add the burn to it, and a lot of chumps just didn't need that badly.
Uh,
And the ones that did were probably gonna just buy the Sunfire Cape anyway.
I don't think it was a failure because it was meant to be the tankiest option because it was
Mhm.
the mythic synergy that gave 100 bonus health, so it would have basically 400 at the end of the game, whereas the other ones were more like utility or PvP focused.
I'm not saying it was a useless item. I'm saying like I don't think that they did a good job differentiating the items from each other. And I think that with this and with getting rid of the Frostfire, they did a better job of that. Does that make sense?
Uh, yeah, I'm surprised they actually
More
made this
separation.
a legendary
Mhm.
or a mythic item.
Yeah. There's a lot of just kind of random, tank slash engage useful stats in the mythic passive. So you're getting bonus health, tenacity, and slow resist for every other legendary item you have. Felt like they could have picked one or the other, but they're both useful.
The
And worth noting is that this continues to not be as good on ranged champions as far as the slow.
Yep. One thing I would like to take into account, I feel like this is going to be a really good choice on Nasus now that might actually displace like Divine Sunderer because the reason you didn't want to get this on him before is because it would deal splash damage and ruin your like Q stacking basically,
Yep.
but it no longer does that now. And combined with the fact that his cripple received like a huge buff, him slowing you and also reducing your damage by 10% with all the crazy steroids he gets with his ultimate, I think this could really put him over the top for that shenanigans.
Yeah.
An interesting point. I do wonder how it'll kind of compare against Heartsteel.
Yeah. So I guess basically there's 4 tank mythics now. I forgot they actually made this one a mythic. Okay, next up we got this one with the weird name, and this actually wasn't its name when I first saw this on the PvE. It was something much less stupid. It was like it was kind of like Kog'Maw's passive. It was like a Cathian bomb or something. They changed it to this nonsense. And this is the one I suspect is going to be like kind of the. Whereas Heartsteel is kind of like the heart or the health spam, this one's the true resistance king and they're going to be in the game with the synergy of getting all of the extra armor and MR, and then you get another 10% when this thing's active. As for like the actual damage component of this, I kind of scratch my head because when I read it, it sounds like it only, I think it just goes off once ever until you're out of combat again. It just seems kind of bizarre, the little damage component of this. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, the 60-second cooldown, and that you have to get to 8 stacks. That in a prolonged team fight, no problem, but otherwise, if someone just runs away from you, the fact that you have no real control over when the AoE or whatever it is goes off with the max health magic damage and you heal and all that stuff. It's like, it's a really cool effect that you have very little agency over, other than just being in a fight for a long time. Which end game, sure, you're initiating, like it's going to happen, but yeah, I kind of wish it was maybe an active, and then the more stacks you had, maybe the more it did, like it scaled, but then you still chose when it went off. I don't know. I guess I'll wait and see if it dunks me or not, but whatever. Jason?
Yeah, I like your idea, Nate. I think an active on that would be cool, but I think generally they want to keep um, mythic items to passives rather than actives, just to
Mm.
make it a little bit easier on players.
Uh,
And then you can kind of opt into the actives because there are a lot of champs that there's kind of just one right item for. I still agree though, like it would be nice if that were an active because it's weird to not have control over when this is going to go off. Um, this doesn't seem like a great item to me. The stat line is not fantastic. The stacking doesn't do anything super significant. I mean, 16 bonus resistances at max stacks for a condition that's not even that easy. I mean, look back to the Iceborne Gauntlet. You're already getting 50 armor as a baseline.
Well, it's going to be like 46, and then when it's maxed out, you get another 10% of everything on top of that.
I suppose. So that'll be about 50.
Yeah, it'll
But
probably be a little more than that.
it's just harder to make it. It's just harder to make it there. Um, Seems to me like this item's gonna need some help, would be my first instinct, because it's just kind of doing a little of everything, but some of these other tank mythic items are doing a little of everything and doing something really well.
Do you remember that item that was in the game for like 6 months where you charged it up by casting abilities, and then when you activated it, it gave you movement speed and like a 90 AP or something?
yeah.
Basically, the only people who bought it was like Soraka, Karthus, and like Vladimir. I can't remember. It was built out of Rod.
Oriana.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was built out of Rod, and it was replaced with that Horizon Focus.
Mm.
But I kind of like what Nate said, where this starts off basically as a passive item, and then when it maxes out, it becomes something you can activate on your quick bar or whatever. Either that, or it just repeats this effect like every 8 seconds, which would be nice
Yeah,
too.
the fact
Yeah,
in
I mean,
8 seconds,
every
like,
8 stacks you
I
get.
mean, you'll probably still be alive, but I bet some of your team is dead. And it's like, ooh, I healed and like I'm indestructible now, but all the damage dealers are gone. So now I'll just like wander back to the turret and maybe not die. Like, I don't know. I just think it'll be more feels bads than
Yeah, it's like
sweet
who is this
detonations.
for exactly?
I think what really put this over the top is the second time it goes off, then you get 20% total resistances buff. And then it just keeps going up to like some absurd figure. Because then it
Sure.
would be like the ultimate like extended trade fight
Like,
thing.
don't let the fight go too long. Yeah, yeah.
Then he's up to 50% bonus resistances.
Everyone
Yeah,
went
run
away.
away. Yeah, come back later. Come back
I
later.
think that would be
Um,
cool. And
that would be
they're
cool.
definitely indexing into all that silliness now with these infinite ults now that like Olaf and Swain and shit have. And there's a lot of stuff they're doing
Yeah.
with that now. These like kind of dream shit goes on forever builds and shit.
hmm hmm
So I actually think that would be really cool. For the moment though, this just seems like the big armor MR item.
Yeah.
And Heartsteel is just too hilarious to get.
Oh, yeah.
To get instead of this, or to get this instead of that. Even though it has no armor MR. Okay, next we're going to scroll down, and then we got a big change to Navori Quick Blades. Even though this was a really good item before, people just don't really find a way to fit it into their build. But when you
Mhm.
do get it, it's always pretty satisfying. Now I think they made it really a lot more easy to use now that it doesn't need to be a critical strike. Oh wait, it does have to be. Well, whatever. It's still really good.
Yeah, you had the critical strike to reduce the cooldowns.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool like concept item before. I don't think I've ever built it, so I don't play those champs maybe.
Oh no, that
Um,
is. I'm
but I
sorry.
have
You
seen
don't
it.
need the critical strike. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh yeah. So you have to have critical strike, but they don't have to be critical strikes. Is
Correct.
the new
Correct.
whatever. So I don't know if that actually changes anything, but um,
Makes it more
yeah.
consistent.
Anything that has like a mechanic that legitimately lowers your cooldowns and not just ability haste is like a cool concept because there's some characters that's like, ooh, what about this? That might keep you guessing. You could do some wacky stuff. So I like those kinds of mechanics, and it's not super easy to just get 60% critical strike, and this item, and then be goofing off. So there's some commitment into it, but it's cool. I don't know if I'll ever build it, just because, like I said, I never built the old one, but I dig it.
One
Jason?
thing I'd like to mention is the way this is worded. I believe buying this precludes you from getting Ginsu's or Infinity Edge or the Spear of Shojin now. The way that thing is at the bottom. Those are all other things that excluded each other when they were bought.
Sure.
And also this thing at the bottom where your abilities just flat out do 20% bonus damage if based on your crit, that's actually pretty cool. And I could see like some assassins even like getting that. It just for the silliness, because every assassin's already getting collector, so that's already another. And the first thing that goes to mind is they've recently made Caitlyn's ultimate the exact same way, where her ultimate does bonus damage based on critical strike now, which is something that she didn't have for 12 years basically. So this is going to be bananas on her.
Oh yeah. As far as ADCs, I think Zaya is one that used to build it. I don't think I see it on her as much anymore. Maybe it'll come back. Trashua is a champ that builds this item a lot, and oh man, with that abilities dealing bonus damage, we're gonna see a lot of Trashuas building this.
Especially because all he would need is this and like his mythic.
10% more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he'd be at 100. He'd already maxed this out with just his mythic.
Yeah, pretty much, right? He doesn't even need the 20 from this.
That is pretty
No,
silly.
it's ridiculous. There's going to be, I think, some champs that tend to do a lot of damage with both their abilities and their autos that are going to use this, especially the ones that have spammable abilities.
The two that come to mind for me, that come to mind to me immediately are Lucian and Graves, because their auto attacks reduce their dash. So this is going to make that even more potent on them. And I forgot about
Yeah, I totally
Yasuo.
agree.
Yeah, I forgot about Yasuo, but I actually think Yone would abuse this even a lot harder because
Perhaps even Kiana?
his
I know she
abilities have way longer
Lethality.
cooldowns. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said I know that she usually builds more lethality, but perhaps even Kiana will find builds that work with this now.
Like I said, everyone builds collector nowadays, so you're already like halfway there.
Yeah. This has the possibility of getting pretty insane now. I think you find champs that have short cooldowns and deal a lot of damage with both their autos and their abilities. Try
How
this
many,
out.
how many times can we get Master Yi to Alpha Strike in one fight? That's the question.
Oh man, it always comes back to Master Yi, and
He's just
I
like the
can't
most
disagree.
obnoxious,
It's gonna be insane.
lowest skill tier champ. And
Oh
so
my god,
anytime you
yeah,
give
this is
him,
gonna be insane.
yeah, you
You-
give him
you-
items where it's like, I'll never be there for them to click on me. I'll
Reduce the
just kill them
Q by
all.
15% and 1
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, he's like a
Oh my god.
champion is basically a measuring stick, if anything is to become retarded.
Well, and it's the like if I was gonna design a bot for
Much
to
as I
like
don't
play the
like the
game for me,
word,
it would pick Master Yi, like because a poorly programmed AI playing Master Yi and the average Master Yi player probably pull the same shenanigans. So,
Yeah.
is the team fight
definitely.
almost over? Engage.
I feel like the poorly programmed AI might do better.
Probably.
I wouldn't be surprised if assassins just abandon lethality and run a full crit build with this bonus damage to their abilities.
Yeah, with
I feel
lethality
like,
being
yeah,
nerfed a bunch recently.
I think it'd probably be almost as good as their lethality builds if they could substitute armor pen for just always critting.
Yeah.
Right, and lethality and critical strike are meant to be used against very different things, right? Critical strike against kind of really tanky targets in general. Lethality against targets with very little armor to start with, because you're reducing it by an absolute amount.
Well,
But
critical strike doesn't have any greater synergy against tanks versus squishy people. Lethality is obviously better against squishy people.
yes, that both correct. But the critical strike items often come with the attack speed that are going to be used to take down the kind of the biggest tankiest targets.
It's also true.
Yeah.
Okie
And great if you can
dokie.
burst people, like if you have a button rotation where you can just delete somebody and then move on, assassin style.
All right, now we're on the fourth and final new tank mythic, and this is the one that was the biggest head scratcher to me because every time I read this, it just feels like a support item. To me,
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't really feel. It feels so awkward. I can't help but think it's going to get some monster buff. And basically, we'll just say it right there. When you only when you use your ultimate, so this is like going to actually just kind of fly under the radar most of the time. You get some kind of just lame ass buff. I mean, these aren't even really terrifying figures to be honest when compared to the even the weirdo one we just talked about. And you just get more health and then you more ability haste and then you heal for a percentage of your max health, but it's like almost forgettable. I gotta say this is the most disappointing item in the whole patch, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really strange because you think about the like Soraka or Nami or these like, super obnoxious healing champs and they don't build health. So like
Correct.
all those words don't mean anything. So it's like, oh, well, maybe if you're playing like a support Gragas or a support Nautilus, like now you're slowly healing them, but you don't actually have heals, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's very bizarre. I don't know who this is aimed toward. Um, yeah, very confusing.
I feel like this was aimed towards Leona, but she already has Even Shroud. They didn't remove Even Shroud, did they?
No.
Yeah.
No, so she already has Even Shroud. Um, but there's
No.
not a lot of champions that are going to be like I guess 1,200 units is a generous range. They don't need to be right near you. But there's not a lot of champs that are going to be building a lot of maximum health. Are going to be just throwing out their ultimate at the beginning of the fight. Um, yeah, I mean tanky supports, maybe a Nautilus, maybe.
No, I mean
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's just awful
Leona.
on him. Like it'd be so bad. It'd be unless you're trolling, I
yeah,
guess.
the price tag on this is in
He has
like
Even
tank
Shroud.
mythic town, so support
Yeah.
Oh
mythics
yeah,
are
this is 3,000 gold.
Yeah,
support
and it's
mythics
your
are
mythic.
all
Yeah,
support mythics are all like 2400, 2200 or something.
right. If this was
Maybe
a
the rare,
legendary, I still wouldn't build it.
maybe the
Like,
rare support Cho'Gath.
No, when I read this for like weeks,
Mm.
then it was on the PBE. There was one champion I thought might buy this because their ultimate is basically the same thing as this, and that's Doctor Mundo. Imagine him ulting at the same time that this activates. He's basically just getting more ultimate.
and
You
helping
know?
his team. Yeah,
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 and he's fat enough to where his team would get like a shit heal,
a little
basically.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be obnoxious. I don't know if you'll win, but
yeah. Tom Kench is actually someone I could see possibly building this.
That just feels like
That,
an antibody. You would eat someone and then you would do this. I don't know. It just feels weird. I
yeah, you
don't know.
eat someone and heal them while they're in you, while they're low, and
Uh,
that'll give them more of a chance to get out
so
alive.
it would also would this help his shield back to health ratio because it's increasing your healing? All right, and it's ally healing. Never mind. No, I take it back. Garbage. Item
Ally
sucks.
healing. Yeah, I mean it's not very good, but the places where it might be used, I could see maybe some like tanky, not quite engaged tops, as well as some that like to team fight, as well as maybe some tanky supports that do like to engage,
you
and
see,
that's about it.
if
And even then, I agree it would be great.
if you're any one of those type of champions, you'd probably want that goofy named one that gives you the resistances, though.
Jack Show the Protean?
Yeah, I just don't even want to. I don't even want to say its name. It's too stupid.
I also like that this item is like, ostensibly not good, but deep down it has a 60-second cooldown. So if you happen to have a champ whose ult is 45 seconds, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If you ult now, you won't get that shitty item to go off. It's like, oh, all
Yeah,
right
the
then.
best
Yeah.
Oh,
part
wait,
is
it's like, yeah, like who is going to abuse this other than like somebody who like has a shape change ult or something, or they don't have a real ult? Like other than that, did it need a 60-second cooldown? Was it going to break the game
That's
if it was?
that's a really good point. If this was actually had a low activation cooldown, it could be used like multiple times.
Yeah,
The
you like
only
try to
ways
pull it
you're
off.
Yeah, even if you're running like the Boots and Ingenious Hunter and Cosmic Insight to get this down to like 40 seconds, you're probably still not going to be able to be like cheesy enough with this thing.
Yeah. But luckily, it has a 60-second cooldown to stop us from breaking it in the game.
the 1% maximum health heal, right? Basically, pretty garbage.
Awful.
15 basic ability haste. Is that doubled to based on their missing health? No. Ally healing is increased by up to 100% based on their missing health. So the ability haste isn't doubled. No, this is pretty crappy.
Now, if it healed everyone over time equal to 10% of your max health, then it might be okay.
10% would be nice, yeah.
Because then on a really tanky person, you know, you could get up to like 500 or 600 on everybody on your team or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, it goes off 3 times, so you get 3%, sir. Might be.
That's
That could be
that's
double
if you're on
50%.
death's door. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you're all if they're all like near you, you know, like 1200's far, but
No,
not necessarily
it's-
everybody.
Yeah, it's 3 if you're like low, and then if you're high, you get like 9%. But it's just
But it's 9 seconds, and it happens every 3 seconds.
yeah. But if you triple that, that's like the low
Yeah.
end, and if they're low,
Yes,
you triple
trash.
that, and it's 9.
Right.
So
it's
I
still
don't
bad.
know. It's just a weird item.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Increasing
it
max
is.
health by
It's
10%,
weird
like
to have like
ooh.
auras like this in the game.
I feel like Mundo would want the Heartsteel.
Years ago, there were a lot of items. I mean, like, you know, the Zeeks, did the Heart of Gold have an aura, or was that just literally gold? There were a few items that had just auras that empowered everyone around you.
Yeah, Soul Shroud, Cerelias, Stark's
Yes,
Fervor. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's the oldies.
What was the
that?
AP one?
That
That you
was-
could have 2 of them.
Oh, Will
like,
of the Ancients.
Will of the Ancients, yeah, where like
Yeah.
it stacked 2, but not 3.
That was the Spell Vamp one that was crazy.
Yeah. It's like fiddlesticks. I'm building one. You all need to build one.
Yeah.
And these
So
were
we
all
always
things
have 2 running.
that
like,
years ago, right? Decided like this is just hidden power that's boring, that's exciting to no one, and it's very hard for people to kind of understand what it's doing for their fights and for their team. They said we're gonna get rid of all these aura items, and we're never gonna bring them back, and here we are. What are we doing?
I like
As
it.
long as they bring back the Zerat portal, that's maybe my favorite item.
Are you?
That or
Oh
the
my
one,
god, that item was
Uh,
cancer.
Oh, it's so good. And then you build that and the one where you like promote a minion.
Oh
like,
god.
same
Man.
Singe top lane, like
Oh my god, this guy.
Ghost cleanse, Singe top lane, Zerat portal, promote the minion. Where it's like I'm playing the
podcast.
mini game against the game. Like,
That was
I'm like
the worst time,
I'm like
man.
the sub faction agent.
Get
that
out
you
of
don't
here,
know
bro. That was the worst time in the game.
about. Udyr ruined it. Udyr is the one that ruined Zerat portal. The Singe players never made an impact, so you
No,
know.
Heimerdinger would run
whatever.
that shit too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was the worst point in the game, man. One of the worst. Because when you when you promoted one of the cannon minions, anyone who did magic damage, it was like immune to. So they literally couldn't clear the damn thing.
Yep.
That was the worst time.
And it like made
man.
you money. Like you'd like click it and like leave, and it would like be cranking out the dollars for you. Like, oh, so pleasing. Back when last thing was hard. There's also, was it the like Rift Omen, the one that turned the tower off, was also like the trolliest.
Homebreaker, which
Homewrecker, yeah.
always considered to be a terrible item.
Oh, terrible. But it's one of those where like you build it like hoping that you can make like the Hollywood play on somebody, but no, it's just god awful. But
Every time I look at the stats of Omracker, I'm like, how is this a bad item? And then I'd see it in game, I'm like, yep, it's a bad item.
Do you guys remember that summoner spell called Fortify?
Yep.
Where it would surround your shield, your turrets, every one of your in like an impenetrable golden shield, and then it would make them all fire like 3 times faster for like 5 or 6 seconds.
Seemed cool.
Yeah. I'd be fine with that. I mean, like someone dives you, they're like, nope.
Oh yeah, yeah. Be like, oh, he didn't look at my summoner spells very closely.
He didn't. He didn't see that Fortify. He don't know about that Fortify.
Right.
Yeah.
These days, all you gotta do is just stopwatch as they dive you.
Yeah, that's the But you can have it your summoner stopwatch.
That's the new Fortify.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't just that your tower became invulnerable; it like blew people away.
Yeah, it like
was,
shot real fast. I don't know if I ever saw it used to effect.
And if I'm not mistaken, it also had like a passive effect of when it was off cooldown, you gained like bonus armor when you were next to a turret too.
That might be
I
true.
think a lot of those were from
Those were the old days.
Yep.
I think the bonus
More
effects
tricks back then.
this.
Yeah.
Like when your summoner spell was on cooldown.
Next up, we got Randuin's Omen, and this was one of the happiest things I saw because they finally shifted the anti-critical strike from an active effect that everyone didn't want to use back to its passive effect, where now it's super useful to get against AD carries. Now, this would be like the go-to item now if it also stopped 20% of like true damage, since every AD carry build's Kraken Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super happy they reverted this back to that. It's such a smarter change than having it only as an active effect that lasted for 4 seconds. It sucked.
Yeah. Agreed.
This is fun.
Fine. This is a huge deal. This thing was super strong when it was a passive effect. Okie dokie. Next up is Ravenous Hydra, and this is definitely a giant buff for this item. Gives kind of a cool little risk-reward thing where it can max out and have a lot of extra AD and a lot of extra Omnivamp, but then it loses half of its power when you die. I think it's still really cool. It's basically didn't lose any strength that it has now for the most part, and then it just gets more silly. And those are some really good stats when it's maxed out, I have to say.
Yeah, like the Magi's for AD people. But yeah, if somebody's snowballing hard, then it's only going to get worse. Maybe almost win more. But
well, this is actually you get most of the bonuses just for killing minions and stuff. You only get 2 minions worth of bonuses for killing a champion.
No, true. It's any minion gives you one. Yeah,
right.
So the large monsters, large minions.
Even if you're pretty far behind, you can stack that to 40.
Oh, sure. Clear a couple waves.
Yeah.
But if you die twice in quick succession, you're not just going to kill 40 minions in like 10 seconds.
No, but if you die twice in quick succession, you probably lost.
That's when you start running into somebody else's land and taking their minions.
Yeah.
And stacking it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a like Magi's style weapon, but it was like health in the very, very early days?
Leviathan.
Yeah. The old one. Yeah.
Source.
Like Olaf built it, I think maybe he was the only person. I don't know.
There was an AD one. It was called Sword of the Occult.
I remember that too. Yep. Never. I don't know if I ever saw that one in game. But
overall, this is a pretty big buff to Ravenous Hydra.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think this is
a cool item anyway. Like, I liked it.
A little underpowered in general to being overpowered. The fact that your cleave now deals 60% if you're melee to everyone, regardless of distance, that's big.
Yeah.
I think this was a strong item before, and this just puts it almost on like mythic level with these crazy stats. I mean, like 89 attack damage from one item. That's bonkers in today's world. Back when you remember when all the BF items used to give like 80 attack damage? Now everything's like 40, 45, 50.
Right.
This is pretty strong.
Yeah, and I was like just building like Tiamat anyway. It's just awesome if you're like stealing jungle camps or something. Like it's just, I don't know, that item pleases me to start with, and so anything it can build into that is good is makes me happy.
You know, I was reading the text again, and it says you get 2 stacks for killing a large monster, but it doesn't say you get 1 stack for killing small monsters, which would be a bit of an oversight if that wasn't the case.
Oh,
yeah,
like all
it's just a text error. I think you get 1 for every kill, doubled against those things.
Well, it says whenever you kill a minion. It doesn't say minion or monster.
That's what the text says right here, but I think that's just a textual error. I think it's 1 stack for anything you kill, probably even including wards and things like that.
It'd be a huge overstate mistake if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, an oldie but a goodie that never should have been taken out of the game. Rod of Ages, and the first thing I like to say is I hate that they did not return the little purple rod icon and they reinvented it until the shiny green one. Because I think they should have left it as that purple rod from like the olden times.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that they put this back in the game. But I had like a huge concern because I feel like the state the game is getting in, this is no longer like enough when it's maxed out. Like I feel like it should be about like 50% more powerful when it's maxed out, or take 5 minutes longer to realize its like unique benefit as like the mythic that pays off much later. And merely all they did was revert it back to the stats that it had like 5 and 10 years ago numbers. And I feel like the pace of the game, this should be even more obnoxious like 10-15 minutes after you buy it.
Oh yeah, the idea that you have to wait that long, that's a really long time in today's league games. Like old league games used to, drag on, but I feel like things get decided a lot earlier, which is, part of the
Hmm.
game design, make games shorter. And
Hmm.
so if you can't get this built by I don't know what minute, but like if you're, mid lane, if you can't get it built early for whatever reason, then probably just build a different item. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we have this item in the game again. It's a ball of stats that turns into a bigger ball of stats. Who needs that?
No, I think it
It's
has
a
a
ball of stats.
place. They just, instead of like changing it to adapt itself for the time, they merely gave it the same stats that it had 10 years
Right,
ago.
the old days.
Yeah,
Right.
if this thing capped out at like 500 health instead of 400, like 800 mana instead of 600, and then a whopping like 140 or 160 AP instead of just 100, then I think it would earn its place. But I have a really, really hard time imagining people getting this over like Ludens or the Shatter
Hmm.
Queen or Night Harvester.
Leandries.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
one thing I do think is cool is that, and I think this is the only um, catalyst upgrade that does it. Once you fully stack it, your Eternity passive becomes even more powerful than when you upgraded it to Rod of Ages. That's kind of neat. And therefore, I think it'll still be good, on the Anivias, the Rises, the Cassiopeias of the world, despite the fact that the game is quicker now. I think that there's just some champs that that aren't meant to bring early power, and
Actually,
this
I'm
uh,
sorry. I believe you might be reading that incorrectly. It doesn't
eh,
get stronger when it reaches its cap. It gives you a brief effect every time you restore a certain amount of health and mana with its secondary passive. At least that's the way I'm reading it.
gain a level that preserves your experience. Oh, you gain a level too. That's kind of cool. And increase all effects of Eternity by 50%.
Oh,
So
you're
the
right. That wasn't on
yeah,
the PBE for a long time. You're right. They added that for a long time. That wasn't part of it. I just now
okay,
read that again. You're right.
yeah,
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 you're
yeah.
absolutely right.
So being able to restore health by using spells in combat and being able to make sure you don't run out of mana if you're fighting a lot become even
Mhm.
more effective in the late game.
Occasional movement speed.
I thought they maybe should have gone even more all in on that and maybe taken away some of the bonus health and bonus mana with the stacks, but ramped up Eternity to 2 or 3 times as much. I don't know. I don't like the ball of stat items so much. I think that they're boring and they just
Mhm.
create stat check scenarios.
Don't you be
Um,
hating on that Heartsteel. Get
that
out of
one at least
here.
that one at least you have to do something to get thousands of
Right.
health at
I'm just sad that the Catalyst of Aeons, which we talked about how awesome it is, and it's a super sustained item, builds into two items that I'll probably never build.
a time.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy this Catalyst and use it for a while and then sell it.
I would
It's
immediately say that
not
this
a
will.
terrible thing to do.
I,
Like, go on.
I said I think Nate's right that now that this is in the game, I already think it'll be the least popular mage mythic in the game because I think people will even build the Helm of the Shattered Queen thing for the damage reduction shield
Oh, I didn't
before.
realize this was Mythic, actually. Okay.
Yeah, that's the big. I think maybe that's the biggest misstep because if you could build it,
Oh,
I mean, I usually rush your Mythic though, so I don't know. It's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah, you do have to build it early, but yeah, these stats and the effect for, I mean, the extra level is nice, but a lot of the champs that are building this anyway are going to reach 18 by the end of the game most of the time anyhow. Okay, yeah, I didn't see that. I thought this was actually maybe like fairly balanced and boring. Knowing that this is Mythic, yeah, this is definitely on the undertone side of things.
I really hope they look at this item and give it like a much. I don't believe the Eternity passive even becoming stronger when it's stacked out makes this good enough. I think they really just need to double down on the like sitting on this for a while, and maybe even drop it down to like 2,800 or something.
Yeah.
I definitely, yeah, it
On the
just needs to get a lot more stats for people to want to take this
say
over
in
Ludens.
I
in the
actually
old
like
days, I don't think you had to buy the amplifying tome. I thought it was just Catalyst Blasting Wand, and then you
Yeah,
finished it.
you're right.
Yeah.
I actually like your idea of making it cheaper quite a lot
Hmm.
because this could be kind of the item that could be offered for champs or for players who have a bad early game and still want to become relevant later. They can kind of give up
Yeah.
their mid game as well, and then ideally, scale into something that is pretty powerful in the end.
Or if you keep it expensive, you could have like some sort of mechanic where the catalyst is counting up your 10 minutes or 15 minutes
Uh,
and make it, like not mythic or something. So you didn't have to finish it, but you had to have, the catalyst you like bought in and then build your mythic and then come back to this or something would be also like cool because yeah, I like the idea of building Catalyst of Aeons that, we talked about like just the lane sustain to make you play the game instead of just trying to delete people. But
I
nope.
just think that modern design of League, which is good in that it promotes a lot of kind of active, thoughtful play rather
Mm.
than just buying something and sitting on it, would encourage you to do something to stack this instead of just wait for minutes to pass.
Well,
Yeah.
every other mage mythic is kind of like an active playstyle item. I mean, Proto Belt, you like whoop, and then Ludens, you're
Mm.
casting abilities.
Pretty
The
much every complete item in the game is.
Yeah, a lot of I don't mind there being one, you know, survive until later and I'm better than you item because there's a lot of champions that kind of have that play style already.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
kit.
The
But
reason I don't like it is because there's some champs that this is just going to be kind of objectively better on, and it's almost like those champs are forced to opt into that very um unthoughtful, very passive play style.
I tell you what would be really cool. I could forgive everything if they made the mythic passive. Maybe make it like actually really strong, like 25
Mm.
AP per mythic, whereas the other ones are only like 10 or 15. Make
Right.
this 25 because if you're thinking about the synergy, there's no way you're going to want this over Night Harvester and Leandries, the other two that give 5 ability haste is their synergy.
Mm.
So if this gave like 25 per, then it would be like another 100 when you have all your shit together. Then I could see this being good. I definitely think this is going to get changed up because right now it doesn't have a place in the game. I don't
No.
think. Which is sad because I want it to. Okay. Next up we have the Spear of Shojin. It was only in the game for like a few months before they took it out of the game, but now it's back, and I have no doubt this is going to be the cornerstone item of some mighty cheesy builds, because this is going to let you stack up some serious ability haste. And there's a few builds where you can already get 200 like without this. What do you think about that, Nate?
Yeah, no, it is definitely the lure of cheesy people. You can see like the gears moving in their Rube Goldberg machine of how this is all going to come together for nonsense. The payoff at the end, but it's a cool item. Other like if you kind of ignore like the troll potential, like it's cool. Like I'm not like this item's like dumb or overpowered or broken or anything. So I like it, but yeah, it's kind of like when we were talking about the giving Twitch AP, like you're just inviting trolls to the party, but it is what it is. Jason.
Yeah, back in the day, Spirit Shojin, those few months it was in the game, I think it was kind of like a Navori Quick Blades type of effect, except it was for like the top lane fighters, who could use the kind of the raw AD, and I believe it was health that it brought. Um, and it made for some just absolutely insane situations where basically you could never time someone's cooldowns. Their skills would never be off cooldown.
Mm.
Good riddance to that, but it's interesting to see Spear of Shojin come back.
Yeah,
This seems like a more balanced way to do it to just kind of give the basic ability haste. So I think that's on just basic abilities rather than your ultimate. But it's kind of a flat amount based on your bonus AD rather than every time you I think every time you auto attack, you would lower the cooldown of your basic abilities. I like this version more, and I think it's still going to be a good item. Very good.
yeah, the old one for 8 seconds after you casted your ultimate, all of your auto attacks would reduce your cooldowns by like a lot.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But this is basically just forever. And the movement speed, I actually think is going to be pretty funny because you get this huge bonus right before you're about to finish someone, and they're like, bye! You know? Suddenly they're almost on Ghost as soon as you like almost kill them. So that I think that's actually going to be almost as effective as just spamming abilities more.
Yeah, absolutely true.
One thing I like
Uh,
to say is for like the brawler item, this is like a ton of attack damage. Usually items of this class only have like 40, 45 AD. This is a
it's an
lot of
expensive
attack
item, though.
damage.
It's an expensive
Yeah.
item. 3,400 gold, but yeah, 6580 is quite a lot, especially considering you're also getting health and ability haste.
But yeah, this is definitely a Renekton Riven thing.
Mhm. Oh, Riven.
Riven, Aatrox.
No, you don't really want to get it on Aatrox. He doesn't really
Really?
scale well with ability haste because he's more limited by the pace of his animations on his Q than actually having cooldown reduction.
You come
So
back. Yeah.
ability haste isn't actually good on him.
Interesting. I would think he'd still want this for the just for the movement speed and even the ability haste. That the fact that you can kind of use your jumps more.
I mean, it's not bad. It's just kind of ability haste kind of goes to waste on him.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Sunfire Cape. They got the demotion to a mythic item. I was really worried for this because I was afraid now that it doesn't have that like super cool PvP form of its like bonus effect where it becomes basically wit's end when it's maxed out and you do like a ton of on-hit magic damage. I was afraid that it would instantly be completely pushed out of the game and not even have a place anymore. But I was wrong about one thing, and the burn still does scale the more you burn someone. It does still stack. When I first read this, I thought they removed the entire stacking component and the entire on-hit magic damage component when it's stacked up. Yeah, it does still scale with your health, and it does still stack the burn. So this is still very strong. Just not as great as PvP as it was.
Yeah. It's weaker, but also I always felt bad because I always wanted to build like the Sunfire Aegis, the mythic one, and when it wasn't the best item, because I've always liked that item, like we talked about the old days of Mordekaiser. Just like early, like season 1, season 2 League, like one of my favorite items, and so I just had a special place in my heart. And so now I can build it as like an ancillary item, for team fights or for just trying to grind out those assists for people you didn't actually attack. Is what it's all about.
Plus, you could still get that broken heart steal along the way.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that actually scales with this thing's burn because they're both based on health.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I was kind of down, the fact that this no longer gives any MR or any ability haste does make it dramatically less attractive to pick up.
Yeah,
like,
but the old one, it's like the old days.
Yeah,
where it's just armor. It's pretty cheap though. I mean, like,
it's moderately priced. I feel like if you're going against an 80 champion, you can use that 35 armor. It's still kind of one of the premier like pushing items as a top laner.
Yeah, and also trades like the people like the Garens of the world that want to come in and spin on you. It's like, oh well, you can have some back.
Yeah, except
the harassment effects.
I don't see anyone getting this first over their mythic because it's just not that powerful anymore. Which means it's probably not really going to be a laning phase item anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of a third, fourth, fifth tack on now. And a lot of people will probably take the Dead Man's Pants because of the insane movement speed that gives over this.
Not only did you steal his plate, you stole his pants now?
Whatever it's called. What is it called? Dead Man's Plate? Dead Man's Pants?
Whatever,
man. Whatever.
But,
yeah.
Chris, will you build this?
You don't steal his pants.
Will you build this on Malphite, since we all know that you're building a Sheen item on Malphite, and now you can have a Sunfire Aegis too? That's the question.
Say that again, Nate?
So are you going to build this on Malphite? Because we talked about how you have to build a Sheen mythic on Malphite, so you could never build the Sunfire Cape on Malphite, but now you can.
Let me tell you, man, that new Iceborne Gauntlet with that mini exhaust built in, that plus the cripple on Malphite, it's going to be hard not to take that over Trinity Force now, let me tell you. Yeah.
But you can also have a Sunfire Aegis.
But the thing is,
good news.
That item has armor though, and Trinity Force never had resistances, so it's going to be tough to still take Trinity Force on Malphite. Still, I'm still a believer though.
Yeah. But I was excited because for many years I couldn't have a Sunfire Cape on Malphite because it's a mythic, and that's not the mythic I needed. So.
Yeah, Yeah, if you're a champ that doesn't have great wave clear, I think this is going to be useful for split pushing.
Hmm?
Yeah,
You,
that
you
was its
get your
old purpose.
you
Yep.
get your mythic, you get this, you get the hull breaker, and you're kind of set.
I'd be okay if they honestly took that out of the game, to be honest.
Hull breaker,
Yeah, I mean, if you're
yeah,
already a good split pusher, it just makes someone who's already good just stupid.
Just yeah, annoying,
Yeah,
like
if you're
obnoxious.
already good
Yeah.
like Fiora, having that is like, what? Yeah, you
Well,
don't
they
need
bring a
this.
turn, they leave. Yeah, it's one of those like, oh, they're already gone.
it might be
Okay.
interesting if for Hullbreaker they made it so that like the minions or whatever were much more powerful against opposing waves and turrets, but maybe you were a little bit less powerful.
No, you
Um,
still get tons of resistances, like way more than what the item's worth. Like
Fair.
it's on the cheap side, and it gives you like
Yeah.
40 to 80 armor and MR. It's
Yeah,
absolutely ludicrous for
yeah.
that cost. Yeah.
For what
I
it
like
does,
the
yeah.
idea of like an item that makes not so good split pushers become good split pushers. Um, that you can opt into, but the fact that it's making the good split pushers even better is pretty ridiculous.
Indeed. Okay, next up is Turbo Chem Tank, which also got the demotion, although I feel this one is actually going to be an even worse place than Sunfire Cape is now, because it didn't even keep its old burn that it had. It didn't even keep the on-hit magic damage. Now it solely has the old Shirelia's Revelry effect. And I'm
Yep.
just not sure if that's going to carry this item anymore, just to get it purely for the active, because that's all it's going to give you now.
Yeah. Yep. And pretty low stats for 2800. Like it's like, like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's basically got the opposite stats of Sunfire Cape, where this lost all the armor but gained extra MR. So,
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'd be way more tempted. I guess you have an option for either one now, since neither one
Yeah.
gives the other resistances that they both used to have, either of. So,
Yeah, I
I
feel
just.
like maybe like a volley bear or somebody that has to sprint into melee range. Like he doesn't even have to anymore. Old volley bear had to, but the like there's a few champs that really want to get close,
Yeah,
singed.
and
They
yeah,
like have to, but otherwise nobody else is buying this. Like no,
I don't even see Singed buying this. People build them. People are so
I have
greedy.
years building this.
Yeah, people are so greedy now with Singe. They just build him with a lot of extra AP now. And with the new passive he got a few years ago, he's like just a speed demon when he gets close to people.
he is, but he's no
Yeah.
longer tanky at all when they took away his mana to health ratio, and so
It's true, but his ultimate's been buffed many times, and he gets more
true.
resistances now than he ever used to for many years.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Either you do big damage or big troll, or you're like two singed routes,
yeah.
but.
There you go. Or you're both, yeah.
Yeah, but the turbo chem tanks, like I don't know if it fits, like either, but it's like, trolling, one more ghost, never hurt.
Worth noting is that the stat line on this is pretty good now. It's 500 health and 50 magic resist. I mean, if you need those stats,
You're
and
playing into a lot of wizards. Mhm.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even if you're a champ like Darius that just needs an easier way to get in, I don't know, maybe.
Mhm.
Uh, I just don't see it. I mean, for MR items, I feel like just Spirit Visage and Force of Nature just have as good or superior stats, but just much better effects for your big ticket MR items.
Yeah.
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 And
I don't think
now Abyssal Mask is on the table too.
I think these stats are better than Spirit Visage though, aren't they?
It might have less health and more armor, or more MR and less health, or whatever. But the effect of Spirit Visage is like insanely powerful on anyone who can
Yeah,
use it.
for the right champ, the
Yeah.
Volodymyrs
Yeah.
of the world for sure.
Oh yes.
Okie
I feel
dokie.
like this will see some niche use.
Say that again?
I said I think it'll see some niche use, particularly if you're like a tanky champion going up against a lot of magic.
Maybe.
Mhm.
Okay, next up, we already kind of talked about this a little bit, but not only did they add the pets, they changed the summoner spell of Smite too. Now it's basically just kind of in line with the pets, where the more you smite, I don't even know if you have to smite. I haven't read all of this super hardcore, or if you just keep killing large monsters. But
That
this
one.
basically just it just scales up to an incredible amount. It's just going to make objectives even easier to secure now with this incredible buff to Smite's damage. But I guess it takes a while to get there.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is because you have like the Cho'Gaths, the Nus, like the characters that kind of have like a built-in smite in their kit that could steal objectives without having to take smite. Um, so maybe they wanted to make smite even stronger so that you really can't screw it up. But they also buffed those other abilities too. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess like just make jungling easier. Make jungling easier. I assume you can't buy a pet if you don't have smite, like the jungle items.
probably
I
not.
don't know whether that's true, but the pet does come with the pet
Pet
himself.
reduce your lane gold.
Exactly.
That's the the real penalty. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You can only have the way that I read it, 27% of your gold can come from
Mm.
lane minions. The rest has to come from the jungle.
I don't like it when they put those things in the game.
No.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like that we're getting up to 1200 true damage on the smite. I agree. It's to make the jungle easier and to reduce the effects on your game when you get a bad jungler. But I've always enjoyed having Jhin or an Ezreal ult. Um, or even like a random level 1 Janna tornado,
Mhm.
is stealing stealing an objective because the uh the jungler knows that that if it gets too low, if it gets to that 400 or 500 range, a few hundred past their limit, that the objective is going to be contested by people.
I
Mhm.
think you'll
And
still see
so
a lot of steals.
and so often they smite a little bit early, at 9:30 because they don't want it to get down to 600,
Yep.
and then it goes to 30 and somebody steals it. And I think that's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. With 1200, it doesn't seem like they're going to be under the same type of pressure.
Yeah.
No,
Like there's not a lot of times I can. Mhm.
I still think there'll be a lot of steals because, yeah, prematurely smiting is going to be a thing for the rest of time. So you're still going to
No matter the
see,
numbers, they'll
yeah,
just do it even earlier.
yeah,
Now that
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
but like
pushes
that
out the wave. Yeah.
in the case of both junglers are there to smite, perhaps, yeah. But besides that, no regular champ besides Nunu and Sho'Gath are gonna steal it from you at 1200. So
Mm.
there's so much less pressure. You can just wait till you see that 1100 or that 1000, and then hit the smite button.
Is the passive where you take reduced damage when you have allies near you, is that new?
Yeah, that's new.
Okay. That also makes
That's
jungling. I don't remember ever seeing that, and that
that's
makes
uh
jungling also easier.
that's only on
For
the final form of this new smite now, super duper
sure,
primal
sure.
avatar smite or whatever the
Where you can
hell.
face tank
Extra
Super
kits.
Dragon and Baron for your buddies, and not get rolled by it if you didn't build tank items as a
One
jungler.
thing I noticed is that the middle form and late form, the Unleashed Smite and Primal Smite, they both have the old effect of Chilling Smite, which is you do true damage when you smite a champion and then you slow them for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
So this toolkit the junglers have now is just making it foolproof to the point where it's just
right.
way too dumbed down for my taste. Yeah, bring back the
Sure.
cloth armor in 5 potions.
Cloud Power 5 pots, second camp's
Uh,
still going to kill you. Um, yeah, and I wonder if they were just like, you know what, Chilling Smite's the best one. We're just going to give it to you. Like Red Smite, good for dueling. And there was the other Smite that no one picked. So, yeah, I wonder if they're just streamlining everything just to make jungling more appealing. Because I can imagine people that are like, I'll try jungler, and then just had a terrible experience.
uh,
And that's why there's so few
well,
junglers.
challenging smite is now that Scorchclaw pet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, they just gave you Chilling Smite no matter what you want now. And then now you can have Chilling Smite plus Challenger Smite or the other two. Yeah,
Wasn't
just
the Challenger, though, they do less damage to you? Is that
yeah.
still any of
That
the components?
no, they did take that out.
Okay. 'Cause, yeah, that was like the red one where it's like, ooh, you won't get me. Yeah. Dueling. Dueling Smite.
Okay, next up we got some little bit other minor things like making the turret plates more. Actually like that they're giving making the turrets more tanky. I'm all for actually slowing down how fast turrets drop in the game. I actually like this state of the game that pushes towards.
Yeah, I support that too.
Yeah, this is kind of a pile on the original intent of turret plating, which is to give people a safe haven if they're being, pushed back in their lane, while also rewarding the person who can push in or push someone back to base. So more gold, but harder to actually knock down that area of safety. I like it.
Another thing in here that I don't know if it just hasn't come up with or I haven't said it yet. Now every single monster, every big monster in every camp heals you when you kill it instead of you only being healed when you smite something, when you smite
Wow.
a monster. So
Or
you get a
the
little, yeah.
Gromp, did he heal you too?
Yeah, the Gromp would heal you, and you would also heal when you smited anything that was a
Right, right.
monster. But
Yeah.
now you just heal off of any big camp monster.
I'm just gonna jungle now. It's so easy. Just, sorry, guys.
I still
Go
have
full
yet to
jungler.
see anywhere whether or not the little minions in the jungle actually attack enemy champions, or if they only attack jungle camps. It
The
doesn't say
pets,
it
I don't think
anywhere.
the pets do anything. I don't remember them doing anything of consequence in the games I played.
Well,
No.
they tank jungle camps,
I
and
mean,
they.
like to players, like when the
Oh,
enemy like
okay.
jungler came to gank or something. Like I don't remember anything happening to me that was not part of that person's kit, or like other than like the abilities they give you.
Isn't it like annoying watching something follow the champ around?
I
It's
just at
like,
first I assumed they just paid a lot of money, and so I was like, sucker.
yeah, that
So
would just be
yeah,
annoy me. I think. I hope it's not
That's
too
how it works in all the
obnoxious.
other modes, ARAM, TFT.
Yeah, it's super annoying. Okay, one of the last big things that happened is they added the Chemtech Drake back. It no longer gives you the crazy wacko revive that it used to. But I
mm,
actually like the new effect it has where it gives you damage reduction and bonus damage when you're half dead. That's kind of interesting.
yeah, interesting for sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this is fine. I think this is definitely a less like game-changing version of the Chemtech Drake than we had last season.
Yeah, I like all the things they did with the Drake's buff, its like soul, and the environmental effect that it gave. I like all the changes they made to that.
So the effect is that all the plants on the Rift basically do kind of double what they used to do. Or in the case of the Scrying Blossom, allow you to one-hit the wards that you reveal. And I think that was cool. I think that the bonuses for getting the Chemtech Drakes themselves kind of lame. I'm not a big fan
Uh,
of them, but
what?
well, I mean, just like in their design, right? It's just more damage sometimes.
No,
That's all.
the new Chemtech Blight stacking effect is it gives you 20% heal and shield power and tenacity. I think that'll just be awesome on some champs. They can get like two or three of them.
Yeah, I feel like that's just little bits of almost utility power that a lot of champions aren't going to be able to use well. It's okay.
Well,
I think it's definitely more in line with the other Drakes in the game compared to what the last season's failure looked like.
yeah, and then like Jason said, that the blast cones makes you go twice as far. The honey fruit gives you a shield when you eat it, and then the Scryer's bloom gives you movement speed when walking towards someone that was revealed by it.
There's also
So
the it does like an AoE reveal when you hit it and the directional. And so if there's a ward like within, I don't know, auto range of an 80 carry, when you hit it, it'll reveal those too.
Ah, yes, yes.
So that's like not nothing. Because like a lot of times there's that one behind dragon that you like put in that bush, you'll have like your ward
Mm.
there, and then people aim it down to like hit the try in bot lane, but it'll hit that one in the bush next to it too. So as a
Yeah, it'll be
support that
interesting to see what
leaves a
the
lot of
Chemtech
wards and punches a lot of those reveal flowers, it's great.
yeah, I like all the changes they made to the Chemtech thing.
It's definitely better than the last one. I'll give it that.
Okay, last but not least, we have some gold stuff where all the minions in the middle lane are worth less gold. What do you think of that? I don't know why they
I
did that.
don't understand. Yeah, what? It's very confusing. Um,
I guess they farm easier. I don't know. Mid laners in the
Yes.
pro scene do tend to have the most CS, I've noticed.
Yeah, I think it's because the lane is so much shorter than top, where you like don't want to go, a little too far out. And then the almost always the mid lane champs either can have an ability or a ranged attack where they can farm safely. So maybe that's it, that it's less risk intense as top lane. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and safer to split push than bottom lane.
Oh,
Yeah.
that reminds me. I actually watched all of Worlds for some reason. I was super bored, and I watched all
Wow.
of Worlds for like just the finals for
Yeah.
like it was like 4 hours long, and I was really disappointed that Faker lost. I thought it'd be really cool if he just went out
Pulled
with
it out in the end.
went out like Peyton Manning, just
Old man Faker.
went out on top. It was such a close series. It was very back and forth.
Yeah. I watched some
Uh,
highlights. It was like,
yeah.
legitimately close, which is nice.
That being said,
compared to
though,
some
the
previous
opening
ones.
ceremony was the cringiest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, just
Did you expect anything different, good sir?
I expected it to be like kind of pathetic and childish, but it was uncomfortably cringe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
Now I'm going to go watch it.
I'd like to hear your take on it. It was
By next time, I will have seen it. Don't
it
worry.
makes lady.
Oh, that was someone's passion project, Chrissy.
It
Yeah, you
makes
say like I assumed it was forgettable, but now you say it's going to scar me. Like
makes-
now I'm in.
it makes anything that like Lady Gaga did like humble and conservative in comparison. And I know she's like famous for doing nonsense, crazy shit.
Right.
Yeah, it was weird as hell.
So
Delightful.
Faker and the opening ceremony are nice, but I've been waiting 3 days to rant about this gold change, and damn if you're not going to let me rant about it.
Do it. Get it.
All right, what are we doing here? Like, this is so stupid. I know it's not a big thing. I know it's not going to affect the game balance that much for everyone to be one less. But we have gold values in this game, right? Minions all have different values. They scale up as the game goes on. If you have certain items, you get 13 gold less. We're taking 10 gold away from the cannon minion in mid lane, and now we're going to take 1 gold away from all the other minions and 11 gold from the cannon minion. How are you ever supposed to know how much gold you're going to get for a wave? This is stupid. This is stupid. This is just an affront to clarity and good design. There's so many more elegant ways they could have taken a little bit of gold income out of mid lane. Everything from making the mid lane items just slightly more expensive to build.
Yep. That was my first thought.
Yeah, to changing the pace that the waves crash in the mid lane. But I think the simplest and best way to do it would be to simply change the frequency with which cannon waves show up in the mid lane.
Yeah.
Just have throughout that first 14 minutes, 1 or 2 less cannon minions show up, and you've done the same thing to the gold without having to reduce some of them by 1, some of them by 11, and completely confuse people who are coming across the map and thinking they're going to get 69 gold for a minion, and they actually get 53.
Yeah, and I even like your idea that like they just move, whatever percent, like 8% slower in the mid lane. Like all minions move that much slower until
So many
supers
ways
show
they
up.
can do this.
Yeah, like, and people wouldn't even notice. They'd be like, "Oh, that's weird. Why do I have less money?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here, right?
I do agree that it's like kind of dumb and unnecessary, but then I always think of one thing, and that's what would Blizzard do to dumb it down? And I know what they would do. They would just
Just
have
give everybody the gold automatically?
yeah, you would just get the entire gold value of the entire wave by watching it go past you. You wouldn't last hit it because that would be work, and you wouldn't.
You've played Heroes of the Storm, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, you don't have to last hit.
Yeah, I know.
When I go play that with people, I'm just like, never mind. I didn't want to play this game. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
But hey,
I'm confused.
cannon
I'm
battle.
confused.
I agree with you. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to dumb anything down here. I think they're just using one of the most inelegant, unclear or hazy ways they can to shoehorn balance between the lanes and force certain roles into certain lanes. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it's dumb. And I guess maybe at the pro scene, but I don't know if I've played games where I'm like, man, that mid laner just has so much money. Usually it's like, oh, that Zed has killed me 35 times. Man, they're rich, So yeah, I don't know like who's like other lanes are just getting crippled
Now he
by
might
how much
kill you
mid is
38
making.
times because like he can't get gold from his minions. He's gonna roam and kill you.
Correct. Correct. He's gonna come find me.
I-
Warding Dragon. Warding Dragon
Don't
by
worry,
myself
man.
again.
He's going to
I'm-
use that Kentech Squire's Blossom to get you and hunt you down.
Correct.
I didn't even realize they changed the made to the cannon minions because now whenever I
Yeah.
play mid and I'm in the fountain, I need 100 more gold to be like, well, if I got 10 more gold in those last 10 cannon minions, I'd
Yeah.
be able to go back to lane now.
Yep.
It took me years to realize.
I'd be able
that
to buy a red ward, which in mid lane, now they're a little spendy. Sorry.
Right, like these are the types of things that it's like you expect to have a certain amount of gold for doing a certain thing, and that should not be violated.
Yeah, it's very odd. I guess with a ton of items changing, maybe it won't be as obvious because so many items are different now. It's all random all the time.
Now you guys
Side
wanted
question.
what?
Okay. I was gonna say, back to the jungle nonsense. How will all of this affect Ivern? Is the real question that I have for you. Then when I heard about the pets and stuff, I was like, Ivern don't care. And I'm sad that he's not great because I want him to be, but he isn't.
Yeah,
And
he'll still get those buffs, right? He can still
yeah,
get his pet treats, I think. I assume
right.
that when you free a large monster, it'll give you the bonus treats.
Yeah.
Well, you only get the treats for using smites, and he doesn't
Which
need
speeds
to
up the freeing.
Yeah.
You smite to like finish it quick, but it just in my mind, I was like, they're gonna make everything easier, but they're still gonna punk Ivern.
My guesstimation would be that he'll still be garbage.
Yeah.
Do you know that when you give someone the buffs as Ivern, they don't last as long as a regular buff?
Excellent.
That's just another reason to.
It's another layer on the stack. Excellent.
They should just replace his kit with the same abilities that Maokai has.
Yeah.
So what are they
And
going to do with Maokai then?
No, he'd be better for it.
Yeah.
2 Maokais.
Yeah, just give him.
Playing the tree
Maokai.
team. Got the
You
tree
just
team.
want a Maokai on both teams. That's how much you love the big fat slobs.
Yeah, I do like tanky champs. One thing of note when we were talking about silly changes, now they've added a round of ARAM balancing that isn't just bonus damage and damage taking, but negative and positive ability haste and tenacity towards certain champs that are deemed too good or too weak in that mode.
Hey, Evelyn got
Isn't that-
buffed.
Isn't that the fun of gambling? Isn't that why you play ARAM? It's because you might get hot beats or you might get horrible trash.
I don't know why they balance it at all. It just takes kind of the fun out of it. Like you look at Ashe here. Ashe is notorious for just doing the volley spam, which is annoying.
Yeah.
So now she just starts the game with like a completed item's negative ability haste. So,
Excellent.
It's stupid.
So now she has nothing to do.
And
It's
Sherry
almost
does like 15.
ARAM. It's almost like
Shoot
they're taking ARAM too seriously, and they should just let
For sure.
that be the fun, imbalanced mode, and make an actual second mode that's not Summoner's Rift, that that can replace Twisted Tree Line.
I 100% agree. I think they should take away all of the dumb balance changes.
Yeah, no, ARAM's hot gambling. It's supposed to be, they're like, what are you going to
think
get? 'Cause you have
Sona's Shield
rerolls.
does
You have
that,
rerolls.
I think Sona's Shield in ARAM does about 8 shielding to your allies now.
Yeah, she's terrible. All the
Used to be
supports are
worth
pretty
it
bad,
for
honestly.
ARAM.
Or all the enchanters are really bad in ARAM. All right, well, I think that does it for 12.22. Do you guys have anything, closing remarks?
I'm excited that more people will be interested in jungling. I don't know if it's going to make my experience of being not the jungler better.
That is such a perfect way of putting it, Nate. I have to tip my hat to you. That is pretty much my feelings in a nutshell.
Yeah, I don't think I can say it any better than Nate just did. I think Nate just won the video.
Yeah, this is...
That's all I'm left with at the end of the day. Let's all build a Heart Steel or whatever it's called and think about jungling.
Oh yeah, definitely try Heartsteel out before it gets nerfed, because it is going to get nerfed.
Enjoy it while you can.
Soon. Besides that, just thanks to everyone who stuck with us for how long were we going, Chrissy?
Hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, we did this quick.
Yeah, I actually
Sprinted
thought
through.
that this would take a long time.
Luckily, we agreed with each other a lot, and there wasn't,
Thanks
high
for
debate.
sticking with us and listening to our thoughts. Hopefully you learned a little something, and good luck in this preseason. It's going to be an interesting rift out there.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next time.